A very warm welcome. Today we have with us Mr. Vivek Rajagopal, who is the head Analytics, Advanced Analytics and AI at Narayana Health. A very warm welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us at CXO TV.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure participating in this discussion with you. Looking forward to an engaging discussion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, before we begin with the discussion, we would actually like to understand and know how your experience has been over the years. If you can share some of the instances with our audience.
Sure. So I started off my career as a programmer, 3 years as a programmer. After that, I graduated from IIM Bangalore, and after that, I've been with Narayana Health, which is one of the largest healthcare organizations in the country for close to 13 years now. Initially, I was looking at mergers and acquisitions. I actually joined NH at a very interesting phase when NH was rapidly expanding its footprint across the country, and we got to see it through an IPO as well. Over the last 5-6 years, I started the analytics division at Narayana Health. And over the last 5-6 years, my role has primarily been about building out the analytics division, catering to different verticals in the organization, getting Narayana on the map in terms of clinical AI, and taking it to becoming one of the most advanced data intelligent organizations. So that has been my role with NH.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. It's absolutely have been an incredible journey. It must have been. So, we would actually like to know, when you are talking about advanced analytics, what has been the potential to unlock the valuable insights from data? And in your view, we would like to understand, how does it empower organizations to make informed decision and gain a competitive edge? If you can share this.
Right. I'll start off giving you the goal of our division within the entire organization. What we intend to accomplish is the democratization and institutionalization of data intelligence. When we say democratization, that means every role in the organization needs to have the relevant data to run their day-to-day tasks. Whatever decision that is happening in the organization at any level should be driven by data. That is where we want to get to. And when I say institutionalization of analytics should not be a choice, but it should be a part of the process. In many cases, with respect to analytics or business intelligence teams, what you will notice is that they develop a lot of things, but the adoption is very low, which means it has not been integrated into the process. People still can choose to use analytics or choose to completely function without it. Democratization and institutionalization is what we believe will truly bring competitive edge to the organization, because that is what systemically improves processes at every level in the organization, eliminating inefficiencies everywhere. We strongly believe that creative intelligence that is used to solve a particular problem should be used only once. People shouldn't be using the same creative intelligence to solve the same problem month after month, preparing the same kind of reports, deriving the same kind of insights from those reports, management making the same kind of decisions based on the insights. This cycle should stop. All of these should get automated. And as the organization starts automating all of these, the organization truly becomes data intelligent, and all the inefficiencies start to disappear. That is what will truly bring a competitive edge to the organization.
So, can you share some of the instances where advanced analytics has led to a significant improvement in business strategies or operational efficiencies?
Sure. So, our team handles analytics for all of the verticals in the organization, which means we look at finance, we look at operations, we look at HR, manpower, we look at supply chain, we look at our marketing division, we look at our clinical division as well. And in each of these divisions, there are several high impact use cases that the analytics team runs today. To name some of the use cases that have had significant impact for not just the management, but also from a patient perspective, because we are one of the largest healthcare chains in the country. We started looking at our discharge process. Anyone who has been to the hospital or has experienced an inpatient episode with a family member knows that discharge is one of the most painful or time-consuming process. When the doctor says that you're perfectly fine to go home, and you still take 6 to 7 hours for the formalities to complete, the paperwork to complete, and finally get discharged. We wanted to see if we can bring down the discharge process to 2 hours. From the time a patient is marked for discharge, can we complete everything within 2 hours? While our goal is to get to 100% of the patient being discharged within 2 hours, with an outer limit being most of the patients getting discharged at least within 4 hours, we've made significant strides in it within the last couple of years. We are now seeing over 50% improvement in discharge times, with the 50% inefficiency being cut down purely on basis of analytics and efficiencies, alerting people at the right time, giving management the picture on where your discharge process is consistently slow, which processes need to be tightened up, giving predictive power to the people who are running the operations on how many discharges you can expect at what time during the day, and how your response typically is based on the load on the system at a particular point of time during the day. All of these together have cut down our discharge time by over 50%. Similar studies, similar analytics have been done with respect to our lab turnaround times, where we are seeing 60% improvement in lab efficiency now. We've seen a 30% drop in our outpatient wait times from the time a patient walks in to the time the patient gets to actually meet with a consultant. We are seeing a 30% drop in wait times. Our resource utilization in terms of the operating rooms, which are significant infrastructures in our hospital, there has been significant improvement in terms of our OR utilization. Our receivable days has come down in terms of some of the key financial KPIs. Our inventory days has improved by over 25%. So we've made significant impact in several verticals in the organization, all on account of analytics, advanced analytics, AI, machine learning, predictive power in a lot of cases.
I mean, that's really wonderful. People these days with their busy schedule and, making this entire process, the moment a person walks into this hospital and to the time they leave, create this seamless process and in a very quick manner, keeping in mind the queues, the long queues rather. So that's really wonderful. And while we're talking about AI, how it is overpowering these days. So we would actually like to know and understand that AI is seen as one of the most transforming technologies these days. So how do you envision AI in reshaping the industry and business models in the years to come? And if you can share some instances where AI has enabled innovative solutions that were not possible through traditional methods.
Sure. We believe that AI will significantly transform healthcare in the coming decade, especially when it comes to India. Some of the problems with the larger healthcare sector in our country, everyone may have experienced, is that firstly, there is a major problem in reach of healthcare in our country specifically and all over the world as well. Even after being one of the largest industries in terms of spend globally, with close to $8 to $9 trillion being spent on healthcare every year, less than 50% of the world's population has access to quality healthcare. Right. Similarly, cost of healthcare is another issue. Today, we are saying that as a global economy, we are spending $8 to $9 trillion on healthcare every year. If we are to make it available for everyone, we don't have another $9-10 trillion as a global economy to spend on healthcare. We can't simply double the spend and make it available for everyone. That would not be cost effective as a global economy. Quality of healthcare is also another major issue. I think we would have all experienced. If we take the same set of clinical records to two different clinicians, there is no guarantee that both of them will prescribe a similar clinical pathway to you. This is not just two independent clinicians, but even two clinicians within the same hospital. Because the entire discipline is so vast that it is near impossible to have people take similar kind of decisions. And it is near impossible to know which path is more effective unless a very specific study is undertaken. We believe that AI or technology in general will actually eliminate all of these inefficiencies from the healthcare industry. Firstly, we are already seeing reach being expanded dramatically. It was accelerated a lot during the COVID times when people couldn't physically travel. Technology caught up very quickly to plug in the gaps, and any sort of statutory compliances or guidelines that were there were immediately aligned around these new ways of interacting with clinicians, which is why video consultations has now become extremely common. You can also see medicine delivery happening rather than people going to pharmacies. People now get medicines delivered at their place. There is also home sample collection in terms of labs. So a person even sitting in a remote area in the country, they can get video consultation access to the best doctors in the country today. They can go get the samples done in their local labs in their vicinities and share the reports with the doctors for further advice. And they need to visit a hospital only in case of a major episode that the doctor recommends. In terms of reach, that is what technology has done. With increasing bandwidth, with increasing power of AI penetrating screening tests, all of this will only improve. AI is also helping us reduce costs. Some of the efficiencies that I mentioned that we have brought in within our own organization. Similar things can be done in the entire healthcare industry, cutting down costs at every level. The healthcare industry always, especially in India, where the 80% of the healthcare spend is out of pocket. Very less insurance penetration has happened in the country. The healthcare industry really has no incentive to improve efficiency because they can simply pass on the costs to the patient.
Right.
Until the healthcare industry has gotten into a structure which is happening largely these days, that was typically the practice. All the inefficiencies were passed on as higher bills to the patient. With the now big data and AI coming, which can analyze large amounts of data and eliminate any gaps in terms of efficiency, now there is a lot of scope to bring down the cost of healthcare and bring more people into the affordability of care. And with the government getting involved in healthcare in a big way in terms of health insurance, a lot of these practices will also become mandatory because the government will have a streamlined way of processing the healthcare claims. The same thing happened in the US 20 years back. Same thing is happening in India today. And we believe AI, big data, technology in general will bring down healthcare costs dramatically, such that a bulk of the country's population, 95 to 99% of the country's population, fall into the affordability bracket of healthcare. And the third thing, which we spoke in terms of clinical care gaps or clinical quality in general, we do a lot of work on that side in terms of clinical AI algorithms, in terms of filling in clinical care gaps. And we are seeing significant improvement in terms of outcomes. We are finding because end of the day, when humans are interpreting, say, clinical images or clinical data in general, humans cannot retain focus for the entire period of time. There are times when your brain works less than 100%. Clinical assistants, which are trained on the clinical data, can nudge people to take the right decisions in a clinical setting. That can dramatically improve clinical quality. So we believe that healthcare AI will have a profound impact on healthcare in these three main areas.
I mean, completely agree to what you have said. And, ever since COVID has hit, I think technological boom we have seen, not just in the healthcare industry, in other industries as well, but to keep it specific to the healthcare sector, as you were telling that, in a remote culture or maybe in terms of the clinics that are available, I would actually like to understand how far has the initiation taken in terms of the industry as a whole, in order to reach out to the extreme remote areas. And even if technology is growing to that extent, even the education or the awareness to understand is again lacking behind. So if you can share some insight to that.
Sure. Yeah, that is very rightly said. In fact, education and awareness, we don't see it being a major issue because we are seeing that increasingly consumer-grade technology, everyone is comfortable using it. We're seeing that most of the country's population is very comfortable using WhatsApp. And there is no user's manual or something that you get with any of your social media tools that you have to read and understand how to use it. Yeah. So that's picking it up. Everyone watches videos online. So people are comfortable with all of this. And we are increasingly seeing B2C technologies, which is the kind that is used in video consultation and other things. They are increasingly becoming consumer grade, which means there will be no learning curve required in adopting these kinds of technologies. in the Western world, where there is a lot of legacy systems already available, this change is going to be much more difficult. Whereas in India, since digitization is simultaneously happening with these new age technologies, it is going to be much easier for us to start adopting these technologies and becoming technologically advanced very soon.
Okay.
So that will happen very rapidly. We are seeing that change. More people prefer their first consultation to be an online consultation than spending time coming to the hospital, which has resulted in a lot less crowds in the hospitals also that people will have to manage, creating impact on it.
So, you were also mentioning about data and how crucial it is, when it comes of this scenario. So, data is playing one of the most fundamental aspect in terms of analytics as well as AI. So, how do you approach the process of extracting a meaningful insight from data, and what strategies do you employ?
Interesting question. So the way we have approached analytics is we were very clear that analytics will not be a purely technical team in the organization that receives requests from several teams and simply executes it technically and presents it. Analytics will have to be more empowered, and it will have to be a center of excellence within the organization. That was our vision to begin with, which means analytics doesn't report into the IT team, basically. Analytics is a division on its own. And that was a critical decision that we took. The way our analytics division is aligned itself is that it has a lot of domain experts and analytics experts who form more than half of the team strength. Data engineering is another 25% of this team strength, which executes the core technical work. So the domain experts and the business experts, they're each aligned to one specific domain in the organization. And they are basically our representatives who work in that domain. So a finance expert team that works for the analytics division will understand all the processes that the finance team follows at every level. So they will be more of finance experts rather than technical experts. And only those people can bring the right problems that analytics needs to solve, the right data that needs to be put in place for these problems to be solved. One of the critical things that we developed early on is a mechanism to identify new use cases. In most of the analytics implementations that we have observed, use cases are more opportunistic in nature rather than strategic in nature. Someone has an idea for a use case, that use case is picked up. There has to be a clear process that helps identifying the use cases. And if this process is there in place, then there will be a systematic way in which the analytics team functions. The second most important thing is the assessment of impact of whatever analytics has delivered. Typically, the analytics teams deliver a lot of use cases, but adoption is very poor, and there is no mechanism to measure impact. Rather, the use case should start with impact assessment, the potential impact it can create, and that has to be continuously tracked. Once these questions are answered, the data around these use cases will automatically fall in place. And once the impact or potential impact is clear, the kind of effort that needs to be invested in cleaning up the data will also become very clear. For high impact use cases, you will want more precise or accurate data to reflect more precise analytics. For lower impact use cases, you can still make do with certain assumptions and approximations, even if your data is not entirely clean. You need to have a mechanism to capture peripheral data as well. Because not all data will make its way into the mainstream applications. In any organization, you will notice that there are a lot of spreadsheets also lying around. And these spreadsheets, along with the data from the mainstream applications, is what will result in the final insights. Again, you need to develop a systematic way as an organization to collect and maintain these peripheral data that are not part of any mainstream applications. These three things are critical to the data strategy of any analytics division in any organization.
So, what role does data pre-processing, feature engineering, and data cleansing play in achieving this accurate and actionable insights?
It plays a very significant role in terms of analytics. The way we approach it is, even if data is not 100% clean, we still go ahead and develop the use case. We don't wait for data to become clean, because in many cases, there may be gaps in data. data may not have been entered correctly or incorrect data may have been entered. We do not wait for that data to get corrected before we go and develop a use case. We go and develop the use case and present the use case along with the compliance or quality of data, a metric to represent that. We notice that once we start doing this, and the operations or whichever team uses this information start seeing the benefit of this insight, that will in turn result in good data being captured. And for any data that is being captured, for any use case we take up, it is important for the data engineering team to sit with the functional team and understand what strategies they can employ to clear past data, clean past data that would be acceptable to the functional team in terms of taking decisions and in terms of continuity of analytics as well. Once this is done, then data cleansing needs to take place. But data cleansing cannot be a one-time thing. Data cleansing needs to go hand in hand with processes being put in place for clean data to start flowing in prospectively. On the one side, you cannot keep cleaning data, and on another side, bad data cannot keep getting into the system. So data cleansing needs to go hand in hand with new data coming in clean. All of these needs to be put in place at the same time.
So, in terms of the ethical consideration is considered, they are very crucial in AI. So, how do you approach the challenges related to biases or fairness and transparency in the AI applications?
For applications or algorithms that influence business decisions, it is much less of a concern. It is not very critical. Even if it goes wrong, it may result in certain business inefficiencies at most. But on the clinical side, it is much, much more important that we keep monitoring any biases that may creep into the algorithms. And for clinical decision support systems, clinical decision support algorithms that we run, we ensure that there is a domain expert that is always involved in continuously monitoring the performance of these algorithms and providing continuous feedback. At this point, we believe that human involvement on a continuous basis is necessary to eliminate any kind of biases or ethical concerns that may creep into the algorithm over a period of time. So for all sensitive areas, we have domain experts who review continuously a sample of the data and the results overall to be able to provide their inputs and feedback.
Right. So, in your opinion, what are the most exciting opportunities and developments on the horizon for advanced analytics and AI?
So, some of the things that we've seen happening over the last few years is most of the tools becoming cloud tools or managed tools. The number of tools that are available, the power of the tools has significantly improved. Technology has significantly improved for us to analyze exponentially more data than what was possible earlier. In terms of big data cloud technologies itself, we have seen a huge improvement that is going to be extremely valuable for us. The second and more recent development that has happened is on the large language models. And we believe large language models has the potential to revolutionize industries altogether. And the healthcare industry is no different. It has the ability to significantly alter the way information is collected or generated. And not only that, we also believe that large language models has the ability to significantly alter the way information is consumed. People no longer need to go through troves and troves of documents to get to what they want. GPT bots will help them do it. We believe this will dramatically change the way healthcare operates. It will improve healthcare efficiency by 50 to 60% at least in terms of documentation work that happens around this and the kind of effort it goes into creating applications that facilitate these documentations. And bots sitting and going through whatever documentation has been captured will also dramatically improve the quality of care that is given by eliminating clinical care gaps at all levels. We believe large language models will be a game changer for the healthcare industry, and we'll see it happen very soon, maybe within the next 5 years.
That's nice. That's nice. So now we would actually like to know what would be the tech priorities in the coming next 5 years, along with the future outlook, if you can highlight.
So I'll speak for the healthcare industry itself and what is going on in different parts of the world with respect to healthcare industry in terms of their tech prioritization. Many of the developed countries went through a digitization journey a couple of decades back, and much of their technology has been on legacy technology. And we are increasingly seeing a major drive in these countries to upgrade their technologies. It is going to be difficult for them to migrate a large amount of data, and that is where their effort is going to be on how to migrate from legacy systems to more new age systems. For countries like ours, countries like India, there is major thrust on digitization. Again, triggered by similar happenings where government is getting involved in healthcare in a big way, which is always going to go hand in hand with a push on digitization. And we are seeing the Ayushman Bharat digital mission pushing India into that direction. Specifically with respect to India, similar to the UPI revolution that took place a few years back, we are seeing a UHI revolution that the government is placing its thrust on. And that is again going to be a game changer for healthcare. Once patient data is digitized and is available on the cloud with the necessary access controls, then people need not carry files around to every hospital. Their data in full will be available to all clinical care facilities once access is provided by the patient to that particular facility. This itself will be a game changer. With that, with ABDM authorizing set of software applications that clinical facilities need to use and standard interoperability protocols that will be built through this technology stack, it opens up the scope for more and more analytical applications and AI applications to sit on and be deployed at scale for the Indian healthcare industry. We see a large amount of digitization followed by AI and analytics happening in Indian healthcare. And we believe in the next 5 to 10 years, Indian healthcare will be completely digitized and will operate at a very, very high efficiency. And we will probably, on account of some of the initiatives that I just mentioned, we will probably be the technologically most advanced country in terms of healthcare.
Hoping so that takes place very soon. And ever since you mentioned about the digitization, it's already running at a very fast pace, and definitely it's going to be a very good opportunity for the user experience as well. So it was really a very insightful session. Thank you for joining us with CXO TV. It was great to interact with you, and thank you for sharing your time with us.
Thanks a lot, Urmi. It was a pleasure interacting with you and CXO TV and sharing some of my thoughts. It was a great interaction. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day ahead.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.